Righty, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell that the entire population for this game is in a pretty good mood following some of the fantastic news that we've had for 3.0, the Game Awards, and pretty much everything that's gone on over the past couple of days. The woo-wah space, in my opinion, genuinely has not really ever been better. And unfortunately, I have a video today that's going to be a bit of a rain on the parade for some people out there, and that's going to be some of the issues regarding the actual pull value and the account value of Mornye, the unit that is going to be arriving in the second half of version 3.0 and is naturally going to have a lot of story significance. But in the same vein, I do feel like her kit, speculatively, very early on pre-release, I feel like her kit is something that we should all be very, very, very wary about. Because I've gone ahead and I've taken a look at some of the supporting material that exists in-game through the resources over here, but then also from the actual live stream itself. And I've made some pretty unfortunate discoveries about, well, the potential of this character given the other characters that you have on your account. So why don't we go ahead and just start breaking it all down. So one thing we know about Mornye, and one thing that's extremely clear from how her kit has been described in the live stream, is that she is a support. Yes, she's basically just undeniably a healer. One of the core things that her kit does is actually have like a built-in sort of like parry on her resonant skill. And what we know for certain is that what this parry on the resonant skill does is it will counter an attack, parry it, and then also restore HP to the entire team. You don't do that unless your role is a support. That much at a baseline should be pretty clear. And while she does have a bunch of like orbital laser cannons and stuff like that sort of like built into her kit, when you see things like her expanding a syntony field and then also granting buffs to allies, it's pretty much 1-in-1. She's going to be a healer, and she's also going to provide buffs to allies. Sounds pretty simple at a baseline, right? Sounds pretty traditional. You might be able to say right off the bat, hey, this character's fusion, she could work really, really well in mono fusion. So Saint, what are you doing over here doomposting this character so much? What are you doing saying that she might have some issues with her kit? Well, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to start over here by taking a look at this. So this is just further confirmation. The halo of starry radiance. Guess who has a halo? Yeah, Mornye has one. It might be blocked over here. It's right there. You can see it. She literally has a fucking halo in her. I don't even know why I'm explaining this. She has a halo everywhere. And so, yeah, this is meant to be her set. And what this set does is the 2-piece effect applies a healing buff, right? 10%, something like that. And then the 5-piece effect is healing an ally increases attack for all resonators in the team based on their current off-tune build-up rate. So essentially, tune and Tune Break, that special mechanic, is going to be introducing 2 new stats. One of them is Tune Break Boost, which makes your Tune Break attack deal more damage, and the other is going to be your off-tune build-up rate, which is, well, the higher it is, the faster you'll be able to use the Tune Break attacks, right? One's build-up, the other is the actual damage that the attack deals, right? And so clearly you can see Mornye is a character that inherently is tied to the tune mechanic, the off-tune mechanic as a whole. And one thing that we know about the 3.x units is that they all interact with the tune mechanic in some way. And so the thing is, Mornye is clearly a healer, right? She's clearly a support. You see it from her Sonata set, you see it from the live stream details in her kit. But you're also seeing her effectiveness as a healer is tied to whether or not her teammates use tune. And this is how you'll know for certain it's worse than you thought. She's also got a special caveat to this buff that she has for allies. If there are enemies in the tune rupture interfered or the tune strained interfered state, she generates different additional buffs with her kit. So the attack buff from her Sonata set is tied to the off-tune buildup rate stat that her teammates have. And then the actual buffs that she provides is dependent on whether or not a character can trigger Tune Rupture Interfered or Tune Strain Interfered. And there's only going to be one character in the game that can use Tune Rupture or Tune Strained, and that's going to be Linnea. So, if you don't have Linnea and you pull this unit, you basically will not have an entire part of her kit. Like, because you will not be able to trigger Tune Rupture or Tune Strained without her. That's the problem. That's the issue. And while, yes, we don't know how you're gonna get this off-tune build-up rate stat in the first place. But the thing is that if it's hard to get this stat as well, because I don't know, are we going to roll it from echoes? Is it only going to be from weapons? Is it only going to be from like new Sonata sets and it's going to go into like the active echo slot, like a passive bonus, like the Carousor? Is it going to be like that? And if so, then any of your older units, your Brants, your Lupas, they're not going to have any of this fucking stat anyways. So like, even it seems like her Sonata set could potentially not work on some of those older teams. So a lot of people were saying, oh, Saint, Mornye's fusion and she's a healer. Can't you just use her on the Mono Fusion team? Hey guys, how does using her on the Mono Fusion team, how does that sound right now? After all of the information that I've just given you about the buffs that you're not going to get, and how her Sonata set might just not even work in that team either, because how the fuck are Lupa, Chang Li, or Galbrena gonna have off-tune build-up rate? Where are they getting it from? How are they gonna get that? Are you guys beginning to see what is going on? This unit is essentially tailored to whether or not you have the 3.0 units. And this is why I'm saying be very careful of whether or not you want to pull her, because I'm genuinely of the opinion that I feel like her kit is not going to be complete unless you have a unit that can inflict one of these on your team. And that is a pretty big restriction to have for a premium limited unit, especially the second one that got released in the version. I don't know how I feel about a character needing another 3.0 unit and they're the second 3.0 unit that gets released. Like, she's like not gonna have any of her full potential unless you have her on the team. And to me, that's a rough unit to release as the second unit of 3.x. However, it could just be that these additional buffs and whatever are like literally minuscule, non-existent, and don't actually mean anything. And that, you know, this whole line, it's insignificant. I just don't know why they put it in then. I assume the buffs are actually going to be pretty big if they made note to talk about it. Otherwise, this has just created room for like a possible speculation that honestly doesn't seem very good. Like, I don't think any of the stuff I've been saying sounds good. I don't think a lot of people like that. I don't think a lot of people like knowing that this unit, you're gonna get only part of their kit unless you have this unit too. And you want to know what I think the worst part is about the entire, like, Mornye not having all of her buffs unless Linnea's on the team? It's the fact that Kuro seems to have seen that issue coming with Linnea, because Linnea has a sub-DPS mode where she scales with the teammates' Tune Break, all of that. Pact of Neon Light Leap, that's literally what she does in her kit. She jumps around with neon lights. This is clearly Linnea's Sonata set. But then she has another one. Linnea has a second one where she has a DPS Sonata set. And then you see over here, Linnea literally has a DPS mode in her skill tree. The DPS mode in the skill tree has the same icon as the fucking DPS Sonata set. So you get 2 units for the price of 1. You're the Mornye enabler, but then you're also just a whole main DPS. Because you just used Verena Sanhua and her. Verena Shorekeeper Sanhua and her. Or fuck it, Mornye Sanhua and her. Because she's got a DPS Sonata set too, and this is just telling you she does basic attack damage, and everyone gets Sanhua. Guys, you can clearly see that one unit is getting far more preferential treatment compared to the other, because this unit is basically, to get her full kit, you need her. And if you don't pull her, under the assumption that a future unit is going to be able to apply Tune Rupture, Tune Interfere, Tune Strain, right? What if 3.1 has no Tune units? Your Mornye is just not going to be able to use her full kit until the next Linnea rerun, which could be in like 3.2 or 3.3. So you're going to go 90 days without having this character's full kit, and you can't fucking activate it. You literally can't. Because you want to know what Kuro needs to catch up on in 3.1? Teammates for this piece of shit. Yeah. Because guess what? Mornye is literally, potentially, Chisa V2. Where in 2.8, people are all like, Chisa's gonna be amazing for negative statuses, under the assumption that negative statuses come out in 3.0. Guess what, guys? There's no negative fucking statuses in 3.0. And so this unit is so bad, it's unbelievable. She's so dog shit currently. The biggest waste of pulls on everyone's account. She's useless. She's literally useless. She does nothing anywhere. And she will continue to do nothing for all of 3.0. This is what Chisa's going through right now. And guess what, guys? If Mornye if 3.1 has no tuned units, then Mornye is going to be in the exact same fucking position where she gets no new teammates, nothing for like 40 fucking days. That's what happened to her? Brother, when's the last time you used this fucking unit? Hey, appreciate the raid cat. When's the last time you used this fucking unit? Just be honest with me. When's the last time you used her? Oh, sorry. Not on the Cartithia team. Just give your honest never. Just say never. Not on the Cartithia team. Just say never. Congratulations, you pulled this unit. You spent 90 pulls, and I guess you got her fucking weapon too, because without her weapon, she's worse than Arrow Rover. So you probably, if you're gonna use her on a team, you 100% got her weapon, because you ain't just gonna pull her and have her be worse than Arrow Rover. So you pulled the weapon and the character, 100, potentially 200 plus pulls to use her on one team across 80 days. It's been 80 days. You're gonna use her on what? Pull her and her weapon to use her on one team for 80 days. That's the worst value in the game. That's the worst value I've ever seen for pulls to like team to like perform actual gameplay value in the game. And this unit over here, this Mornye unit, who appears to have almost all of the same restrictions, potentially even worse because there's less tune units than negative status units, which is the crazy part. There's more negative status units than tune units, and Chisa's already in a bad spot. Isn't it super clear how this character can easily be in one of the most awful fucking spots too? It's so clear. There are no details. How can you even make these claims? Because I'm reading what the developers put in the fucking live stream. Because the developers literally said, if you don't have Tune Rupture or Tune Strained, which are new mechanics that only the 3.0 units have, you literally will not get buffs in her kit. And so, simply because you're too retarded to actually read subtitles and you can't... I just don't understand how this is hard to understand. Imagine reading this and then not seeing that there's a potential problem. That takes a severe amount of a severe lack of IQ to do that. Because how do you trigger these buffs if you don't have Linnea? Because Linnea is going to be the only character in the game that can trigger either of these. So how do you get the buffs without Linnea? You just don't. And to me, that is kind of not that great design to have a character this restrictive as the second unit in the version. Because, yeah, I think I've already said enough over here when it comes to Mornye potentially being an exact carbon copy of Chisa. Because I actually think this is what's going to happen. I think 3.1 is going to actually be negative status characters, because this unit is they can't have her be this shit for another 42 days. I actually think that people are going to throw a riot over this character only just being so bad. I 100% 3.1 is going to be negative statuses. And that means, guys, this unit could potentially just only have Linnea as a teammate for 42, just like Chisa right now. She's going to have the Linnea team and that's it. Like how Chisa only has the Cartithia team. And that's a lot of pulls that you're asking for this little fucking teams. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, that is going to be our breakdown, ladies and gentlemen, regarding Linnea and her kit issues. I know we didn't talk about stuff like her weapon. It's a fucking healer weapon, bro. I don't know what it's going to do. Maybe it'll scale off of ER, which probably makes the most sense because pretty much every healer in the game has scaled off of ER except Cantarella and but we'll see. Maybe I don't even know. I've got nothing to say because maybe it gives this shit. Maybe it gives off-tune build-up rate. We'll just have to see. We will just have to see. But I already see that there are going to be a lot of issues with her in the future. I can already see that I'm just generally of the opinion that I don't think her performance in Mono Fusion teams is going to feel very good at all. I feel like Brant is going to be 500 times better than her. I'm just calling this stuff right off the bat. I think you can decide to, I don't fucking know, try her on Mono Fusion anyways, and it might just work. But this character looks cooked to me, bro. Her design, having this many things tied to tune, I think it's a little bit cooked. But we'll just have to see for when the future kit details come out. And I don't know, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But I am not liking how much of this, how much of her kit feels restricted, locked off. Maybe we'll have good free-to-play options. But as far as I'm concerned, if you need her to make her work, that's rough. That's a rough state to be for a limited 5-star support. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.